Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a story DLC releasing sometime this year. So let's get wild. Let's make some predictions for it, shall we? I'm going all out. Story predictions, gameplay predictions, and even a prediction for the release date. Let's get wild with this, yeah? Let's call our shot, and maybe this video will age very well, or maybe it'll age very poorly. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But let's start off with a heavy hitter, the fate of Rex in Wave 4, also Shulk to a degree. Now, I think Rex will die in Ionios in Wave 4. I think that will happen. I think we're going to get a massive body count with this DLC story. I think it's going to get very dark, very down there. I feel like it's going to be very much in the vein of Torn of the Golden Country. Now, I don't think these characters will die forever. I think Alvis could. But I think what will happen with these characters is that they will die, but then be reborn after the events of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And we'll get some kind of flash forward showing them all coming back alive, so we know exactly what we were fighting for in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and it'll recontextualize a lot of those scenes and motives, especially the ending. When it comes to Shulk, this one could be a little bit tricky. However, I think they will elect for a little bit of synergy between Xenoblade 1 and 2 and also kill off Shulk in some way. We know that Shulk loses an arm at some point, and that Rex loses an eye. We can see that from the Founder's Room on the statues for them. But I think at some point, maybe halfway through the DLC or later on, some event will occur where they'll either be executed or they'll sacrifice themselves so that the main character, Vandam, can probably live on, or that someone else could live on. Maybe a group of people, the remnants of the city. And it could be by the hands of N. We don't know yet, though. I'm assuming N will be the primary antagonist of the DLC. Yeah, Z will always be there, but I feel like N will be the one we see face-to-face more often than not, and will fulfill the role of, say, Malos in the DLC. Now let's talk about the gameplay of Wave 4, because Torn of the Golden Country made some significant alterations to the formula of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, while still feeling very similar to that style of gameplay. And I'm imagining similar changes will occur for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I feel like a lot of these changes will take place in the chain attack system. I feel like they're going to streamline it and simplify a lot of the base interactions that occur with the chain attack system, potentially removing some of the complexity in favor of more visual flair and ease of use. Because there's quite a bit of complexity to the actual system for chain attacks in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. One way, if you don't read a lot of the tutorials, you're probably just not going to get it. Or think that a lot of components to it are random. Like if you attack first with an attacker, you get a first blood bonus. Or healers stopping at 99%. They could also lean in a different direction of it, and go a more Archsage's Gauntlet style with it, with giving each specific character a different power-up that they can utilize in a chain attack system to differentiate them and make them feel more unique. That may be the direction they actually go. And that Archsage's Gauntlet and that style of having all the heroes in one party, in one chain attack system, was a bit of a beta test for that. And just to see how the community would respond to that style of combat. I can't see them making any significant changes to non-chain attack combat, because the formula in Xenoblade 3 is already pretty simple enough. I imagine fusion attacks would remain or receive very minimal innovation on. I imagine the combo system will probably stay in place. Maybe you just keep the smash one, or only keep burst, or combine them in some way, so you get the effects of both. The DLC will not be nearly as long as the base game. It'll be around Torna length, which for me lasted about 20 to 25 hours, so combat would receive changes in accordance to that style to make it flash and shine brighter in those 20 to 25 hours, while taking away some of the complexity that makes the combat enjoyable for a full 100-hour JRPG. And something like simplifying the combat, specifically through the combos, could be one way they try and go about fulfilling that goal. Now, I believe I made this prediction a few days ago in a video entitled How the DLC Will End, but the more I think about it, the more I believe that the game will end with a cutscene of after Ionios, and we'll see the world of Alvest through Mio's perspective. I think we'll probably end up getting that. It just feels way too poetic of a way to tie it into Xenoblade Chronicles 3 with how we got the Noah perspective. This time I think we'll get the Mio perspective. I could also see the events of the prequel ending with a bit of a flash forward, where maybe we see brief sporadic events or pictures of events that happen in the base game as it fast forwards to Origin activating some of the worlds on their way. And then we get that final cutscene through Mio's perspective on Alvest. I could absolutely see something like that happening. Now, in terms of the release date, we don't know a definitive release date for this DLC. We just don't know. However, we can make some estimates. And the thing I wanted to look for was patterns. I looked through the release schedules of the DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 released and when Torn of the Golden Country released. And 2 months kept popping back up if I applied those patterns to Volume 3 going into Volume 4, and that was May and June. Now, it took about 11 weeks to go from Volume 1 to Volume 2, talking about Xenoblade 3 here, and it took about 18 weeks to go from Volume 2 to Volume 3. So 11 weeks gets you that early May figure, about 18 weeks gets you that late June figure. And if you want to assume that the DLC for this go-around for Volume 4 will take even longer, and you want to tack on, let's say, another 7 weeks, which would be the difference between that 18-week figure and 11-week figure, then you get it to around mid-August. However, here's the funny thing. If you go to Xenoblade 2, Xenoblade 2 released on December 1st, 2017. Torn of the Golden Country released on September 14th, 2018. That's a difference of 287 days, if the online calculator that I used to find the difference between those two dates is correct. And with Xenoblade 3 releasing on July 29th, 287 days after that would be May 12th, 2023. There's that May figure again. However, those who remember would recall the fact that Xenoblade Chronicles 3's release date was actually bumped up. It was supposed to be September. And if we assume late September, like very late September, that would get us to about July 13th, if we assume it's 287 days after the release date. So summer to me is seeming more and more likely just based on these patterns. And if we assume even earlier in September for an initial release date for Xenoblade 3, that would get us to sometime in June. There's June again. So May and June now have are now appearing twice based on which pattern you want to use. And funnily enough, if you want to go with the original release schedule that they did on the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Direct, each DLC released about 2.5 months before the released by date. And the released by date for Wave 4 is December 31st, so released by December 31st. And if we apply that figure again, it would get us to about October. So there's evidence for quite a wide stretch of 2023. However, if I'm going to lock something in, then I'm going to call my shot. I'm not calling net, I'm calling game. And I'm going to say June. So while I used to think that the DLC would release sometime in September or October, just based on those patterns I was just talking about, I'm going to say June-ish. Now, that's not a confirmation. I don't have anything else to support it other than what I've told you here today. However, my gut instinct is now telling me June. Well, is it a gut instinct or am I just going off the patterns? I'm probably just going to go off the patterns. And it could be completely wrong, but that's kind of the fun of making predictions. We could be wrong, who knows? So I'm going to call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe if you like the video and you want to see more content. I know I would appreciate it. And hit the bell icon to be notified for when I upload in the future. Leave a comment down below with your own predictions to the questions I have posed in this video. What do you think the fate of Rex and Shulk will be? What do you think the ending will be? What do you think the release date will be? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your perspectives and hear your opinions. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day. Hope to see you all again next time. Go play some video games if you can. As always, I'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye, everybody.